We are on location in Prince George with Natalie Allan. She is the owner and operator of Allan Events Co. Natalie, there's so many other stories to tell about you in an introduction, but I'm going to get you to tell those stories. Great to have you on today.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to chatting with you because we initially ran into each other at a huge event and you were running around and getting everything done, getting things coordinated. You were everywhere kind of all at the same time. It seemed like I would turn left and you'd be there, and I'd turn right and you'd be there. And then I just saw you at more events, and you kind of popped up at this one, and you were at that one. And I thought, there's somebody who's getting some stuff done in Prince George. We should sit down and have a chat.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's great to be here. And I love events, and I love Prince George. So anything I can do to bring those things together is great.
Yeah, Prince George is a great town. Like, there's so many good events. And the latest one that I saw you at was it your biggest event?
Festival of Trees?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, definitely a huge project and an amazing team. So I'm happy to tell you all about it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it, because what I know about it is 5 days and there are Christmas trees set up. Oh, I don't even know the story behind the Christmas trees getting made, actually. I just know that there are so many of them in that venue. People come in, they look at them, and they bid on them.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me the story?
Yeah, the Festival of Trees has been happening in Prince George for 33 years now. And it is an annual fundraiser event for Spirit of the North Healthcare Foundation, which is an amazing organization serving healthcare and patients in the north of BC. So it's been a fundraiser for them, and it's also a lot of fun for the community. So they bring in hundreds of trees, but this year there were 55 trees that were available for auction, either a silent auction or at a live auction at one of the events throughout the festival. They're set up and designed by individuals and organizations who want to donate their services and time. They gather all sorts of gifts and prizes and things that go with the trees. So they decorate the trees. Quite often they have a theme, and they're just beautiful. Some of them are huge and really over the top and gorgeous. So they're super, wonderful to look at, and also for the auction. So they bring that in, and this year was the first year to have Festival of Trees at the CN Centre in Prince George, which was a major feat for the team. Over 200 volunteers put this together and put all of their muscles and energy into it, in addition to the Spirit of the North staff team and board of directors, and so many brains and minds go into that event. It's incredible. So we had over just about 18,000 people from the community attend over the 5 days. And that included a full walkthrough of the CN Centre. It was all decorated. It really brings the Christmas spirit to the community, and it helped raise critical funds for a piece of equipment that the Spirit of the North is bringing to Prince George now in early in the new year, in 2026.
Really cool that they're getting that.
It is.
They're working. Are they getting it? Did they confirm it?
Yes, they're getting it. Yep, they've confirmed it, and awesome. It's on its way. I don't know those details, but it is on its way. And that paired with the recent Ronald McDonald House opening here in Prince George, there's a lot happening in the healthcare space and just improving care for patients. So it's going to be really crucial. So yeah. I'm very happy to be part of that in my small behind the scenes way. Working on these events with Spirit of the North is very meaningful.
Small way, you say, but huge way as well. Like, because they had that event last year at the Civic Center, and then they decided this year, let's put it on at the CN Center. And the story that I heard was, we have no idea if we're going to be able to fill that space. Yes. They packed it.
Yes.
It was, the whole CN Center was full. The whole atrium, everywhere. Yeah. Every square inch, it seemed like, was full. Even up in the stands had Whoville written on there for their bridge theme and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it did. It was fantastic. The theme was Whoville this year, so the whole place was decorated like it. But I can definitely confirm from a behind the scenes perspective, the place was packed. They took out bleachers for us. They took out some of the boards. Some of the meat and potatoes of the CN Centre itself were pushed out. I saw some of it outside in the parking lot. Others was in storage units. And then we also had all of our stuff stored behind the scenes and everything underneath as well. So it was very funny to think of not being able to fill the space, and we overflowed it right out of the gate.
You had to walk in there at ground zero and look at the place first and decide what went where and how it was going to lay out. Let's talk about that. I want to hear. I want to hear what kind of went through your
Yes.
mind as you thought everything through. And
Well, a lot of that, I will admit, a lot of that was decided before I came onto the team. It was early in the fall that Spirit of the North asked me to work with them on this. So a lot of the brain power was already put in place, and they had been working on it for a long time. But one of the inspirations was from the CN Center staff themselves, who said, gave recommendations on the layout. Consider traffic flow like studio fare and things like that. That really helped the Spirit team shape what the decor was going to look like and the activities in there. But there were a lot of moving parts right up until the end. So Festival of Trees opened on the Wednesday at 9 a.m. to the public. And Tuesday night at, I won't say how late, we were still working on it, just putting the finishing touches and making sure that everything was going to be safe for people to visit and enjoyable and fun. And the space is full, but also allows them to move. So a lot of moving parts. I think they'll make some changes for next year, just on a little bit of flow and even how school buses come in, because they arrange trips with senior centers and schools to have kids and attendees come in groups as well. So even the logistics of those entries and exit points, how to move people through the activities, because there's lots to do there as well. You can stop and have your photo taken. You can participate in crafts. You can do all sorts of things at Festival of Trees, and then also go down onto the ice surface and see the magical trees themselves, because it was all dark and then lit with just the Christmas lights and twinkly lights all over. So the logistics behind that, they were able to transfer a lot of that knowledge from the previous 32 years of Festival of Trees, but then it became like a year one for all of us to move to this new venue, and everybody was very participating in making it a success. So all the ops teams at the CN Center, the services like AV and tech, and the dance studios, and just everybody, plus the volunteers. Can't say enough about them.
yeah, there were so many volunteers in there.
Yeah.
The place was packed.
Yeah, and they all know what to do and how to make it shine, and they really did.
So Tuesday night, you were there late. It opened Wednesday
Yes.
morning to the public. How late were you there Tuesday?
Really late. I'm not sure if I want to reveal how late, but it was late. Not many hours at home through that whole week. So it's quite a rigorous schedule, but it's worth it. I will say it is the most physically and mentally grueling work I've ever done in my career, but in a great way.
That one particular event?
That whole, yes, the week, yeah, because it's a lot of preparation, and then 5 days of on, and it's events within events. So there's a gala dinner in one of the evenings. There was a ladies' night with a fashion show. One of the evenings, there was a creating Christmas crafting event. Also, one of the evenings, and in different areas of the festival. So it's it's busy. And then during the day, there's Seniors Day was the whole opening day Wednesday.
Wow.
And then Sunday was the Santa breakfast in the morning. And we can't forget, there was also the Santa parade on Saturday, which was part of Festival of Trees as well. Yeah. So, yeah, very busy every day.
Yeah.
Every day was different, and a lot of moving parts.
What were you doing before in the event space?
I've done a number of conferences, but I've also attended and coordinated a lot of medical conferences and accredited conferences for physicians around the globe, actually. So in my previous role before moving to Prince George, I worked for a cancer patient advocacy organization that was nationwide in Canada, but also worked quite a bit in the global space, advocating for skin cancer patients. So in my work with them as the director for 6 years, that was Save Your Skin Foundation, which is still based in BC. We would attend all these conferences to stay up to date on medical treatments and updates coming for skin cancer and melanoma patients, as well as ocular melanoma. So I attended all those conferences, and I love it. I love to bring community together. And so I enjoy this work in the business community, but also it's an extra bonus for me if I could do it in healthcare, because I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah.
So conferences, summits, meetings of any kind, business events. We don't do weddings and that kind of event per se, but we do business events and conferences in person and hybrid as well. So I had quite a stint of conferences and even a charity gala during COVID. And we had it all planned for a venue, and everything was set to go, and then COVID hit and we had to cancel and pivot. And so I managed to, with the team, find a really cool way to do a virtual conference and charity gala. So those kinds of things, I like solving the problems of putting an event together and meeting the challenges that our clients, can present and really make their vision come to life. And that looks different for every single event.
Yeah. I believe it. Yeah. And you help out with that organization because it's very close to you.
Yes. Yeah. Very close to me. Yeah. I was diagnosed with metastatic melanoma in 2014. And after a long bout with immunotherapy, treatments on clinical trial, and surgeries, and a really scary, harrowing time, I survived that. And after that was finished, I just needed to put my career focus into something meaningful and giving back to the patient community that really helped save me, really, and my family.
Yeah.
So I worked for them for quite a while. I'm still a spokesperson and volunteer for them as well, and love to hang out with Save Your Skin when I can. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for that. There's more coming on that for their anniversary next year. But in the meantime, my main focus is Allan Events Co. in Prince George, and helping the healthcare community and the business community connect and improve and increase, and all those things that come with bringing people together.
Yeah. And speaking of the business community, I mean, you're part of the business community. And another event that I saw you at before this one, and not too much before this one, it was only probably a month before, was the Business Excellence Awards. And that was another big event. That was a packed civic center. That was a whole stage and monitors and everything, and lots going on there. I had shown up either the day before. Yeah, it must have been the day before. And you, again, like, she doesn't stop moving. She's back and forth, and she's everywhere all the time. And you were just testing things. You were getting the tables ready. You were back here with the audio guys, and they were running some tests on the screens, and you were in amongst all that, you were doing other stuff too. So it's like, you can't believe how much you're getting done and how much you're doing at these events. But
Thank you. Yes, some days I can't believe it either, but I love it. I just thrive on it. And it's those logistics and behind the scenes pieces that make me so excited about an event. And I can't help myself.
When you're planning an event like that, those two events were so different from each other.
They were.
Yeah. So how do you what is your mindset like when you're going into one that's business focused versus one that's like more for the public and healthcare focus? Like, how do you even start?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that, because I've had to focus on that myself too, even with the last couple of months working on the Business Excellence Awards coming into fruition as I'm gearing up for festival, because quite often there is overlap with events, of course, behind the scenes. People attending realize, oh, this is this date, and then a month later is this, but the coordinator is always thinking about that. So for me, I really have to immerse myself in the event and the preparation for it. I also use an exorbitant amount of sticky notes. So I'm a spreadsheet person, Word document person, sticky notes stuck all over the house. You can ask my husband. And then I really just immerse myself in what the client is looking for, what my client's vision is for their event. And I just do everything in my power to make that happen. So if there's anything that comes along that might not work or just can't be done, we talk about it as a group. We have a team meeting, make sure that client's okay with it. What are some alternatives we can suggest, some problem solving, or maybe we bump up an area elsewhere that takes away from the lack of something else. So it's just always problem solving and being on the lookout for solutions that are unique to that event. So it was interesting working on those side by side, those two events, because you're right, the space, the people, there are a lot of similar support services and businesses working alongside the teams to make those events happen, but they look differently. From maybe even some work that you might do or some video work for a festival, as it might be different for BEAs. And we all have our roles like that. And I just fit in the same way. I kind of tailor what needs to be, what I need to do in order to make it happen.
Yeah. How much of creative freedom do they give you, or is it mostly you just implementing their ideas?
It's a bit of both. But actually, it's a bit more creative freedom than I expected or necessarily even want. Because I always tell my
Than you want.
clients, yeah,
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, I'm not necessarily the creative or the ideas generator. I'm the muscle and the boots on the ground. So you tell me you would like a purple ceiling and a sparkly floor, and we're going to have photos at 3:00. I'm your girl. I can make that happen. And you know, that's kind of how I work. So if a client has a crazy idea, they might throw it out, you know, into the room and go, we can do that. And I love finding those solutions. So quite often it's a mix of both. So there are always legalities and insurance and venue requirements and things that have to happen in order to make a professional event happen. And so I look after those. But then the creative bonuses are sometimes, sprinkled in and it's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely learning with every gig too. And the technology as well.
Oh, yeah.
We have so many amazing technology supports and organizations like businesses in Prince George that are making things happen. And it's great to work with them because I can be kind of the bridge between what the client wants to have happen, say on the screen, for example, and how that actually happens in the tech piece. And the client doesn't have to understand that. I just make sure that they're bridged together so that tech has what they need and the client gets what they want. So that's the kind of my roles. And I just eat, sleep, and breathe that.
What event did you do right before that?
Before festival,
Before the Business Excellence
Business
Awards.
Excellence Awards, there was this past year, there was the press release announcement at Knox for the Business Excellence Awards for the finalists.
Right.
And earlier in the year, there was the Business to Business Expo, B2B Expo.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed putting that together. I had a lot of fun on that. That was the first time that kind of event had happened. It was a partnership between the Prince George Chamber of Commerce, the City of Prince George, and then Community Futures, Fraser Fort George. So those three organizations came together to bring all businesses, small to medium enterprises in Prince George and the region, to come together, meet each other, network. It was like a trade show, but it was closed to the public for the most part. So people would set up their booths and then go mingle and network with each other. And it was very impactful. It hadn't been done in that way before.
Yeah.
So it was also open to the public on the last day so that people could come in and meet the businesses too. But we had networking sessions and we even did an old-fashioned speed dating session and people were so into it. It happened to be Valentine's Day. So we
like
really,
real speed dating.
Business speed dating.
I thought,
business, I should
business,
clarify that. Business speed dating and it was decorated for Valentine's Day, so it was kind of funny. But we had a huge long table, and we thought, well, if people don't, really want to do this idea, the staff, we were all ready to jump in and sort of fill the seats. And, there's always a contingency plan for an event coordinator, right?
Right.
But people were so interested and into it. We were pulling up chairs to make sure staff pulling up chairs so the businesses could meet each other. That was the whole point.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked. It was in an effort to build cluster development in Prince George and the region and just introduce service businesses to other businesses and vice versa, to give those connections where they could, get contracts or meet new opportunities. And it was exciting. That was really good.
There's another Allan fella that I see at all your events all the time. And
yes,
we were talking about him a little bit earlier, but he's whipping around when you're out doing your stuff. He's nonstop as well.
Yeah, he's nonstop and whipping around as we speak. So he couldn't be here today. But my husband, Mike Allan, he's the co-founder of Allan Events Co. Yeah. We like to joke on the back of our business card, even it says curating events since '76. Because he's been hosting events throughout the course of his career also for, decades, and did that in part of his career, even though he was in finance at an organization here in town. He was always the event coordinator and always has ideas for parties. So parties and events, and he's very supportive of my work. So we founded this together. He's technically retired, but I drag him out every now and then, put him to work. So he likes all the interesting jobs, though.
So there's a little bit of a story there because Mike's a Prince George guy,
Yes.
and you're from Ontario.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I am.
you ended up in Prince George somehow.
I did end up in Prince
how'd
George
that happen?
somehow. Yes, when I was the director of Save Your Skin Foundation, I met Mike through my work there. So Save Your Skin is a national organization, and I was the Ontario office and national director. But Mike was a spokesperson in British Columbia and did videos and different campaigns and speaking engagements for them as a patient advocate, and also just community support, which is what an advocacy group like that does primarily. And so I got to work with him on events, and work led to more fun conversations and a friendship. And then a few years ago, actually just before COVID, coincidentally, my twin daughters, who were turning 18 at the time, were leaving the town that we lived in to move to Toronto for their education purposes and graduate high school and move on. And so we decided to leave the small town we lived in, and I was going to move closer to Toronto to be with my kids. And we were kind of looking around, and I was just, it's a new stage and a new chapter in my life. And Mike and I had been starting to spend more time together, and we even had an official first date in Vancouver. And at the point where it was getting a little more serious between us, we were talking about where I was going to live, and he said, well, why don't you come to Prince George? Well, I said, I'd love to. That would be great. So now I'm happy to say I've been here over 5 years, and I officially got my BC citizenship, which is a story.
BC citizenship.
Yeah, BC citizenship,
that?
a story and a video for it on its own. Well, at first I thought it was a thing, but it turns out Mike was teasing me that there was this 5-year citizenship, and I wasn't actually going to, be able to stay unless I passed the exam. Spoiler alert, we did get married a couple of years ago. So before I got my citizenship, I already felt like I was pretty much in and could stay. But we still had the exam and citizenship ceremony. And I will be able to let you know that Mr. PG even attended in the mascot costume. And it was a lot of fun. And I answered the questions mostly correctly. I got 4.5 right. And I passed the exam. So
Wow.
yeah, so now I live here, and I love it, and I love the Prince George community and the people here, and we're just so happy. And my daughters have moved here as well from Toronto now, so
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds like he pulled out all the stops for you.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really did.
That's a hilarious story.
Yeah.
And he had Mr. PG there in mascot.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
But I guess somebody with his connections, he can find whoever you need, right?
Well, I guess we mean Allan Events Co. We will make whatever you need happen. So if we need Mr. PG, we may even know a guy.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about the future of what the events you hope to do. You've already done some massive events. So like with this being Prince George, do you plan on kind of going outside of Prince George as well, or do you want to focus on the community?
Yes, definitely we can, because the world is so small these days and technology is so excellent. I had already been coordinating virtual events across the country, before I moved to Prince George, and in my role at Save Your Skin, and also globally. So as I mentioned earlier, working with Save Your Skin and having global travel as part of my mandate to keep in touch with the physicians and the research groups that are around the world working on skin cancer. It was an incredible privilege and learning experience to be able to apply that information to what we do here. So I already have advertised to people if they need a virtual event or they want to connect someone, if we're doing something regionally or even larger than the region or British Columbia or Canada, we can open that up. We can use Zoom, or I'm sure any kind of video and technology insights that you could even give me or support us with, and that's how we can make that happen, because we find the contractors and businesses that do these types of things and then just coordinate. So I certainly am not the person behind the camera, but I can queue up the services and the speakers and make those again be a bridge between what's happening and what needs to happen.
Yeah. So you could do the Super Bowl. Yeah. There's a remote job.
No, see, I'm still going to shy away from the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do enjoy the grassroots events as well that mean so much to the community. So that is still going to be my focus, and healthcare. And if that does in turn become larger, well, that's great. It just means Mike's going to have to work more.
Yeah. Poor Mike.
Poor Mike.
Yeah. That being said, if you did have your dream project, and it could just be anything that you want it to be. What would kind of your dream project look like?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I would say book release tour.
Ooh.
So I would like to write a book someday. Mike would as well, actually. So we separate books, but maybe even one together in future. But I would. My dream is to write a book about my adventures in life and in my career, and keep a lot of that heart and humor and experience that really drives me to do what I do, and make that book come to life, and then share it with the world.
Were you prepared when you did your first event, or were you still kind of learning, like you say coordinating AV guys with other people, like, did you know you had to do that?
No, no, that was definitely learning on the job.
Oh, yeah.
Every event, I think, is still learning on the job, which is great and very exciting. It's super. One of my first events was in Toronto a number of years ago, and I lived in a town that was about 3 hours north of Toronto. So I was technically virtual, but the event was happening live in Toronto, and I was planning it all from the town I lived in. Wow. And that involved, it was a physician summit. So I was bringing all sorts of healthcare charities and physicians that were researchers and scientists in the field, in not just skin cancer, but all oncology, and bringing them to Toronto from various places in Ontario and farther. I think there was a few from BC. So I did everything from arrange their flights and hotels to set up the venue, acquire the venue, do all the contracts for that, make sure the food and beverage, the catering is all in place, create the program, create the marketing, share the marketing, the social media, and do all of those pieces. That was another big one that was inadvertently a surprise and lots to learn on the go. So
yeah,
I thrive on that.
Okay. Well, you have a website. You have, how does the public in general get in touch with you?
Well, they can definitely find our website. It's allaneventsco.ca, and that's Allan with an A-N, so ALLAN, eventsco.ca.
Mm-hmm. Check out Natalie and Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming on. It was an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching this episode of StoryHive On Location Prince George. If you want to be our next guest, scan the QR code on the screen and get in touch with us. I'm Jeff Grunding, and from everyone here at StoryHive On Location Prince George, thanks for watching.